Manas, to the Heart, Mind, Money podcast with me, Giselle Mascareñas, who is the COO of Latina Empire and who is the extractor of all things, Perla Tamez Casasnovas, our founder, our leader, our sharer of all, open book, waves of goodness. Perla.
Hey.
Yes.
¿Cómo
Perla.
están, chiquita babies?
Oh my God, Perla.
Estamos listas para platicar súper intenso.
Seriously,
a ver qué se le antojó a esta mujer preguntarme hoy. I'm excited to know what she's going to ask today.
Well, thank you very much, Perla, because I came in with the intention to give you the Oprah effect. Let's see if I can.
Okay, let's try.
But for sure, the thing is that no matter what I say, you're always going to come with a wisdom, a flood of insight. So let's get started.
Okay.
Today, what I wanted to focus on was the fact that, I know that one of your superpowers is the fact that you don't have fears. But I think if we dig deep, I think there have been some in your lifetime that have been pivotal in what has been part of what is attributed to your success. And so what I want to do is, one, I want to share with everybody that every single one of us has these limitations and fears and pains that we have experienced in our life that keep us from living our purpose. So imagine that statement. Perla teaches in clarity in one of the programs that we have in the Mana Lounge, in Latina Empire. She teaches how if you dig deep and you heal those pains, your purpose is on the other side of that, and the manifestation of everything that you desire is right there. And you are an example of that. You are the success that you are because you believe that, you work on that, you're constantly tapping back into your heart. So what I want you to do is, I want you to share a time when you felt like you weren't good enough. What triggered that feeling, and how did it affect your behavior and decision making during that time?
Ooh, what a good question. But so I always say, whenever you get asked a question, whenever you want to make a decision, just let your brain open up and flow and just call it on what comes up, right?
Yeah.
So without even thinking too much, I can tell you that when I filed for divorce, when I was 27 years old, I knew I was getting ahead of myself and I was making the wrong decision, right? But I was married to my ego at the time. So I had to do what I said I was going to do based on the challenge that my husband at the time had set forth. So he told me, chinga tu madre. And I said, nobody tells me chinga tu madre, along with other things, of course. But that was kind of like the trigger for me. How stupid is that? I was so in tune with my ego that nobody could disrespect me. And I said, I'm filing for divorce. And he said, oh, really? And in Spanish, dijo, bueno, dale gas, chaparra. And when he said that, he challenged me. And so sure enough, I called my attorney and I said, filing for divorce. Perla, what are you talking about? What has been going on? You all have a great marriage. And I said, no, tomorrow. I need the documents tomorrow. Because he said this and I don't take this, right? And so anyways, filed for divorce. He stood his ground because he was waiting for me to kind of apologize and retract. And I would have never done that. But I was so lost in my ego at that time. Fast forward months forward, during that episode of my time of my life in that situation, I felt like I made the wrong move and I affected my family. I terminated my family nucleus. And that ultimately made me feel like a bad mother for my daughter.
Okay.
Right? And then those behaviors started to twinkle around in other things I was doing.
So that shame
of that situation
of making that
carried
decision
over to my current relationship that I had already gotten into at that time. And then that
next relationship.
My next relationship, yes. And then those doubt and fears sipped into my business decisions.
Oh.
So I didn't feel I was capable enough of making the right decisions because I had already kind of abolished my own family.
That's how you felt.
That's how I felt. And then I got into a toxic relationship because I wasn't ready to be in a relationship, right? Because
you were heartbroken.
Because I was heartbroken. And because whenever you get out of a relationship, you have to mourn a process. Even when you lose a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or even when you lose a job, there has to be a mourning period.
Wow,
Like you
you're so
have to
right.
give yourself grace for what you went through so that you're healed and you're not making decisions based on
Filling a void.
emotional turmoil. And what you're doing is filling up a void. And so when I went through a situation of the divorce where I affected my family, I ended my family, went into the bad, toxic relationship because I was in a toxic place, taking full responsibility for it. My business decisions were also not that smart, right?
So do you
I had to retract myself.
Do you remember, and I just want to
As a
go
CEO.
into the, before you, because that is like so powerful, the fact that so you made a good decision for your business because you retracted, but let's go back a little bit. Were there distinct decisions that you made in the business from a space of shame, from a space of like feeling not being yourself that affected your business and the bottom line?
Of course, the bad decisions where I was not paying attention to perhaps employees, processes, operations, patient retention, patient attendance, all that, where I was not making the right decisions at the right time, leading the team, ultimately affected my bottom line. As a matter of fact, at that time, we were, riding the curtails of the rate reductions from the state of Texas.
Yeah, you had just gone through so much.
I had just gone through so much, and now we were going into the effect of the rate reduction. So I lost millions of dollars in that year, 2016, 17, and a little bit of 18. It was super hard financially. And then I was not emotionally there to be able to make the right changes. And then I ended up closing some clinics. I closed some offices. Rather, if I'd been in my 100,
you think you could have saved that?
I could have saved them.
Perla, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So whoa, so the ripple effect. So then go back into, so then you basically fired yourself.
Yeah.
You demoted yourself.
Yeah.
And then how did you kind of like, because what I really want people to realize is that no matter what it looks like from the outside, people have their shit. Like there is some major stuff that goes on with people, but we all have that opportunity to rise again. We all have that opportunity to like make good decisions again.
But yeah, and in order to make the good decisions again, you have to look at yourself hard and cold in the mirror and say, this is exactly what I'm going through, and I can't handle doing these decisions, or I can't handle doing this job, or I'm lying saying that I could do this, but I'm not fulfilling the job. I need to push back. I need to make
Step back.
I need to make the right decisions, which is going to cost me to make less money, which is going to cost me to have less power. But if you're not fulfilling the job, step back and then rebuild yourself to gain the control again.
Okay.
Right? And that's ultimately what I had to do.
And now let's go. So you did those things, but what was that like? Share what was that like final point where you're like, okay, I need to figure out why I'm feeling this way, why I'm doing these things. Like I need to go in and start to like create a new relationship with myself so that I can get on the other side of this. Like what was that thing?
Well, there was many things, but every time I would want to spit up in the air and blame my ex-husband, blame my boyfriend at the time, it would come right back in my face because everything has cause and effect, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I was in an issue with, A person, but I had done B to cause A, right?
Well, when you
So-
point a finger, you're actually pointing at yourself.
Yeah, when you're pointing that way, you're pointing 3 fingers, 4 fingers back to you. And so it took a good 3 years to be 3 years, back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, to be able to say, I need to gain control, and the control relies within me, and nobody outside of me has to do with my change. I have to take the change. And at that time, I had to cut several people in my life.
So these are all just like super important, like basically use it as steps and framework because it works in everything. One, you've got to look within.
1,000%.
Like you have to look within to understand like why is what feels shitty happening in my life and what am I doing to cause it?
Yep.
Period. The end.
Period. The end.
Then you've got to go in there and start to heal And you're going to need to do that with asking for help, stepping back from things that maybe you aren't doing good.
And sometimes you don't want to, but you have to.
Because you identify yourself with a title, you identify yourself with the power.
But what's the point of sticking to a title and sticking through power and getting a paycheck that you really don't feel that you're owning? So at the end, you probably still feel that you don't deserve it. So it's not like you're
the shame of
savoring
taking.
it.
Right. So P, what I want people to walk away with is if they do these things, if they look within, if they really start to heal, like you have to go first within and you have to start like asking yourself, like, what am I doing to cause this? Yeah. And then you start need to ask for help. You need to get the right people.
The right people.
Surrounding you. You've got to eliminate the people that continue.
That trigger you.
That trigger you
into the bad behaviors. Because some people just trigger you to bad behaviors.
They do. Just being around them.
Yeah.
Without anything. So, but on the other side of all that work is what, P?
Is true joy. Really. That's when you heal your heart. You're able to challenge your mind, learn the unknown, and eventually the money will come back. So based on my story of success, failure, success, when I was able to reframe that, when I was able to get the help, take in the help, accept the help, really truly from within, I was able to relearn a new Perla, re-educate myself. I manifested the man of my dreams. I'm pregnant with, kids I've always wanted. I've always wanted a large family, so I'm bearing baby 3 and 4. The monies that I had lost came back in abundance. I rejoined my companies in leadership, and we grew again.
Yeah.
And so you have to let go to rearrange, organize, and then receive again.
And when you let go, you open yourself up to receive what is actually yours and better than you can ever imagine.
Yes.
So think about that day. Let's go back to wrap this up so people can really, really think about that crossroads for them, because this is what's waiting for you. If you go back to that day where you were like, te pusiste tus moños, and you were like, I want this over. Even though in that moment and probably the years after that, you were like, that was the biggest mistake of my life. Now you think about it, was it?
No.
It
Everything was a lesson.
God. It was God pushing you to things.
go through that to be here today, to be sharing my message today, which is my legacy, which my purpose is to ignite acts of kindness.
Yep.
But I can't do that until I'm a bridge for healing based on my story from success, failure, success. We all need to embrace our losses, our failures, to be able to know what is the lesson in there and switch it into your biggest triumph.
Yes.
And so I would not be here today had it not been for I married my ego, had it not been for I filed for divorce, had it not been for, I
fired myself as CEO.
I fired myself as a CEO, and that was painful and hard. If it wouldn't have been through losing so much money.
Losing a baby.
And losing a baby, and then putting myself in a relationship that was sometimes fun, but mostly not that fun.
Yeah.
Where I triggered a person to be their worst self and vice versa. Like, I took a lot of insults. I accepted a lot of, bullshit, but I accepted it. So I needed to deal with all that to be able to shut down, reconfigure myself, refocus, and reflourish.
And rebuild.
Yeah.
So the Heart, Mind, Money method is real, you guys. It's real. It's powerful. Like you share it. You're creating this entire global platform so that people can go in here and feel safe to grow.
Yes.
And we are just getting started, and we are so excited to share this with everyone listening, to share this in schools with teens and with
everywhere.
Yes. And
education,
with,
cities, governments,
single moms
private sector, everybody.
Yes. We're going to make this happen, P.
Yes, amen.
You're living for this.
Yes.
Like all your story is because you have a clear path to help people with a framework that works.
Yes.
No matter where they find themselves.
And in order to get here, I've been through the mud and mud and mud, but I'm a fighter.
But with your really
and I'm a
cute
survivor.
mud boots.
Mana, check us out at Reflexiona con Perla. Hard mind, hashtag hard mind money at the Latina Empire. Everywhere in our world, reach us and we're going to reach right back to you. Follow us on our podcast. Share our podcast, Heart, Mind, Money. Giselle the Juicer. Thank you so much
the extractor. You're the juice.
The juice extractor. Thank you so much. Saludos, chiquitas.
And don't forget.
Bye, manas.
The link free into our Heart, Mind, Money world. Link is free into our world. Bye, guys. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Heart, Mind, and Money podcast with Perla, the awesome Perla.
Thank you.
Yes, I want everybody to look into the latinaempire.com. Look more into what this whole mission is. Also, on all our social medias is at the Latina Empire. At the Latina Empire. And to connect with Perla, who answers every single comment, message. We'll send you a voice message. We'll ask you to send her your WhatsApp. She will answer anything, any problem, any advice. I mean, you're pretty remarkable at that. And you can find Perla on Instagram at Reflexiona
con Perla.
Reflexiona con Perla. But we are all across social media, and Perla is always, every single day, pouring into you through all social platforms at the Latina Empire. And we also have our community at the Mana Lounge that you can find more information at any of the links on any of our social medias. And we would love to have you as one of our manas.
We've got to keep learning.
We got to keep learning. We got to keep healing our heart.
Healing your heart.
Challenging our minds.
Challenge your mind to fill your pockets.
To fill your pockets. Thank you guys for having us.